All right. So, like I said, guys, today we're going to be talking about cybersecurity and ways that you can stay safe online. There's a lot of things going on online these days, and you really can't get away from it. That's why I wanted to teach this class today, because I know that we're all online, probably more than we want to be these days. And oftentimes, when we're online, we're maybe entering our credit card into a website to buy something online. We might be interacting with people that we know and or don't know online. And so I want to talk about some of those things. I want to talk about how to avoid scams. So we're going to look at a bunch of stuff today. I do welcome your guys' opportunities to speak up and share any stories that you might have as we go through the curriculum today. Feel free to share. I want to hear some of the stories, things that you guys might see out there. At the end, I will be covering a little bit about what to do if you receive a text message from someone you don't know. Oftentimes, and I know you guys have seen these text messages that says, "Hey, how are you doing today?" Right? And you're like, "I don't even know this phone number. Or who is this?" Right? And that's what they want you to do. They kind of want you to start a conversation with them to go from there. So we'll talk about that. We'll also look at some different scams in WhatsApp. I know a lot of folks here probably use WhatsApp, which is like a end-to-end encrypted communications kind of chat. I know a lot of you guys like it because you probably have people that you communicate with across the world. So you don't have to have an Apple phone. You don't have to have, Android. It doesn't matter your device. You can communicate with people through text messaging and video across multiple platforms using WhatsApp. So WhatsApp is quite popular. But with that popularity has come a lot of people get on there and try to scam folks. And so we'll look at that also throughout the curriculum. So I'm going to go ahead and start, and we're going to start with a video. See if we can get it to work.
So you think you know Wix, but do you really?
After I skip this.
First up, we've got
a couple in Golden scammed out of nearly $140,000 through a sophisticated phishing scam. The question now, can Chase Bank help them recover their money? By the time a Jefferson County man realized that the Chase Bank fraud team that he was talking to was actually the scammers themselves, he was out more than $137,000.
Yeah, problem solver investigative reporter Rob Lowe spoke to the FBI. The couple scammed and Chase Bank about a fraud so clever that it could happen to any of us.
Yeah, $137,000 is a loss nobody can absorb. Chase Bank is still investigating to see if it can recover any of the funds, but that money's likely overseas. Scott and Kate Zoll want you to know what happened to them so that it doesn't happen to you.
So there were 11 wire transfers in total, 2 on our personal accounts, 9 on our business accounts. We lost close to $140,000.
How devastating is that for you, Kate?
Every day we just wake up and feel like we're living kind of a nightmare right now.
What happened to Scott and Kate Zoll began with a text to Scott's phone, supposedly from Chase Alerts, asking, "Did you attempt to send a wire transfer for the amount of $4,500?
At that point, before I did anything else, I reached out to my business partners and asked if they had initiated a wire. They had not, so I then called the bank branch to see if they could see any activity on my account.
That was smart. Chase Bank immediately gave him the number to its fraud department. But what happened next was his big mistake.
At that point, I acknowledged the text that came through, said no, we did not initiate this wire. Got a text back immediately saying somebody from the Chase fraud team will be in contact with you. Probably within 30 seconds, I received a phone call from the exact number that the branch had just given me.
What Scott never guessed is the call from Chase Alerts saying a representative will be contacting you shortly was actually the scammers who had spoofed the Chase fraud number, leaving Scott to think he was talking with Chase Bank.
And at one point I even called the Chase line because the phone number dropped, and I called the Chase fraud line. And I was frustrated with actual Chase because they couldn't see the conversations that were happening. And within a minute, the people that were scamming us actually called back, and I'm like, great, these people know what they're talking about. I'm gonna go back to this call.
Scott isn't sure how, but says the scammers already had his bank account number and knew how much money he had. All they needed from Scott was a one-time passcode that he did in fact receive via text from real Chase, only to then unwittingly share it with the scammer who was pretending to be Chase Bank. That phone call would cost him $137,130.
Just wake up and start all over again to try to accept that all our money's gone. And I'm not hopeful at this point in the journey that we're going to see any of it again.
The most recent FBI stats show in 2022, 405 Colorado phishing victims lost nearly $500,000, and 467 spoofing victims lost $2 million.
The technology does exist that they can spoof phone numbers from anywhere in the world and make it look like it's a chase fraud department.
Brian Blosser is a special agent with the FBI who says phishing and spoofing scams are getting more sophisticated by the day.
Be very leery of unsolicited text messages, phone calls, or a pop-up or an email that you've got a fraudulent charge in your account.
Special Agent Blosser says once a person realizes they've been scammed, do exactly what the Zolls did. Contact your bank with a number you trust, either from your bank statement or the back of your credit card, to initiate a wire recall, and file a report with the FBI at ic3.gov.
The best advice that I would relay would be, hey, take a second, because a lot of the times the scammers are going to try to create the persona that there's an urgent need. You have to act now.
If I would have just slowed down and looked at some of the other indicators, but we're talking, over $100,000, like you want to act fast or you think you need to.
In a statement, Chase Bank told the problem solvers, these types of scams are heartbreaking. Beware of new contacts asking you for codes, access to your device, or to send them, yourself, or anyone else money to prevent fraud. Chase, other banks, law enforcement, and technology companies won't ask you to do this, but scammers will. Like cash, wires are final payments and are rarely successfully recalled once sent.
I have to work 10 times harder than I was working, to get back to where I was, not even ahead, just to get back to where we were.
There is a special place in hell.
All right. So I'm sure that all of you have heard stories like that about people that got scammed. I mean, it's pretty prevalent these days. People can scam you from across the world. They don't have to be in the United States. They don't have to be anywhere close to you. There's so many things that they can do from anywhere essentially in the world to get in contact with you. And to be honest with you, most of us, our information is just out there. I was listening to something today and it said that there's been a lot of, how would we say, data breaches at different companies in the last couple of months. And so the estimate is that about 70% of us that have social security numbers, they've been stolen, and they are potentially in the hands of bad actors out there. And so there's a lot of things they can do once they get that type of information. They can open up bank accounts, they can open up credit cards. Now, oftentimes they do need additional information, and that's when they will maybe try to contact you to get information like what's your current address or what's your date of birth, so that they can use some of that information to kind of build a profile on who you are and then try to open up an account. I also want to say really quick, this is not a class to scare you, okay? I don't want anyone to be scared to use the internet. This class is going to empower you to want to use the internet because you know how to do it safely. That's the goal for this class, not to scare you off and say, oh, I don't want to use online banking, or I don't want to use WhatsApp or text messaging or anything like that. I just want to talk about primarily today how we can do it safely. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to protect yourself from financial fraud and these financial schemes. The biggest one of them is phishing with PH. So as you guys know, phishing, right? When you go out to the lake or you go out to the ocean and you do fishing, you put the bait down and you hope that one of those fish down there jumps onto your hook and you catch a fish. So phishing, this starts with a PH, is very similar. Bad actors will send emails, text messages, oftentimes to thousands, if not tens of thousands of people at the same time, hoping that, a few of those people take the bait and then they can steal their information. So that's kind of how phishing works. So we'll talk in detail about that. We'll talk about what to do if you were targeted, and we'll talk about how you can proactively get ahead of being targeted, things that you can do for that. So let's go ahead and we'll start with how to avoid being a victim of financial fraud. So you heard the couple in the video talk about a couple things that they did. The interesting thing in the video is when they saw or when they got the text message, and I'm sure you all have seen it, hey, did you do this transaction? Initially, the gentleman in the video was like, well, no, I don't think I did these. He talked with his business partners. No, they didn't do it. So they called the bank, and the bank gave him the phone number to where they could call Chase's fraud department. Shortly after that, he did go ahead and answer the text message and he said, "No, I did not do this transaction." And then the phone number for the Chase fraud department called him. So he thought he was talking to them, but he did not realize is that that number had been spoofed. And what I mean by that is there is software out there that can allow you to emulate a phone number. So let's say I wanted to emulate, you know, Chase's fraud department phone number. There's software out there that will allow you to put in the phone number that you want it to look like you're calling from, so that when you call someone on caller ID, it looks like it's Chase Bank calling from that number. So you just got to be aware of stuff like that. And one of the ways that you can prevent being a victim of something like that is you call the bank instead of, even if it looks like it's from the bank. The best practice here is to just you call the bank and check to see what's going on, instead of just answering their call. One of the other ones here I said is beware of random text messages and or emails requesting urgent action. That's one of the dead giveaways, is that it will always be urgent. They will always kind of reach out and say, "Hey, you got to do this right now. I need you to transfer money quickly." And maybe they'll pretend to be a family member or a long lost friend that you haven't talked to in years. And then all of a sudden they're reaching out to you by text. And how do they figure out your friends' names? Well, they can see your Facebook, for instance. So they go on your Facebook account and they see, oh, okay, so this person's friends with Doug Smith. And then they just set up using Google Voice, you can actually create a phone number from any area code in the United States. And then so you can make it look like you're in Ohio, where maybe that friend is at. And then you can text them and say, "Hey, this is Doug. I saw you on Facebook. We haven't talked in a long time. I know we were good friends, but hey, do you think you could maybe let me borrow some money? Here's my bank account." And then they kind of go that way. So just be wary of any random text messages you get or emails. They often start with something like conversation starter, like "How are you today?" if it's a text message. If it's an email, oftentimes the emails are something like, "Hey, you have a package waiting, click this link to get your package." Or maybe it says, "Hey, you want a prize, click here into your bank account so we can deposit the $1,000 prize into your bank account." Well, of course, no $1,000 is coming. They're going to use your bank account other places to buy things for themselves. Okay, so that's the first thing you can do. I will show you really quick. I want to share my phone here. Just one second.
Eric, can you hear me?
Yes.
I want to say thank you for telling us not to be afraid of the information that you're sharing,
Thank you.
because it is overwhelming, and it happened to me just a
Hmm.
couple of months ago. And I really appreciate you talking about this. So go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. Thank you. So I want to show you guys. So here's my text messages. I'm sharing my phone now. So you see here, I get this text message from that 564 number. Do you see that there? Eric, "Hi Eric, Washington Polls invited you to share your thoughts, etc." So I don't know who this is. Okay. There's a random phone number. How do I know I don't know who this is? Right. So the phone number doesn't have a name, right? It's just a random phone number that shows up. And then when I click it, I can see that it says this sender is not in your contact list. So I don't know who this is. I have not saved this number into my phone. Somehow they got my number. They even know my name. And they say, "Hi, Eric." So that's another way that they do it, right? So they know that this phone number belongs to a guy named Eric. They probably don't know my last name, so they didn't say that. And then they're asking me to click on a link to take a survey. Okay. So in this case, what I would recommend that you do, if you don't know who it is, I would not reply. I would not click the link for sure. If you go to that link, even if you don't do anything at that link, it could start to grab some of your information. What type of information can it grab? It can grab what type of phone you have. It can grab your internet protocol address, which is the location you're connecting to the internet from. So that gives them your location, because your IP address gives bad actors a general idea of exactly where you're located. Okay. And so I would not do that. What I would do in this case, as I'm looking here, and if you have an iPhone, you can do the same thing. I would just click on report junk. And this is one of my favorite options here. It says report this conversation as junk by sending it to AT&T and Apple from your phone number. So if I hit delete and report junk, it's going to report it to my carrier, who is AT&T, and it's going to report it to Apple because I have an Apple phone. So it's going to alert Apple and AT&T that this phone number that texted me, it probably texted other customers of theirs too. So it's going to flag that phone number to hopefully prevent this phone number from sending mass text messages to users on their platform. So you help them by reporting a number as junk. So I'm going to go ahead and hit that. And then it removes that message from my, see here, now it's gone. I don't see it anymore. And everything is good to go. So I just wanted to show that to you guys. I could do the same thing here. This Lindsay Letters company, I'll actually do it really quick. So they always send me text messages. We bought something from them years ago, but I don't want their information anymore. I don't want them to text me anymore. So I could hit report junk here if I wanted to, but they're not really like spamming me to try to steal my information or anything. So for this one, I'm actually just going to here kind of slide it to the left using my finger, and I'm just going to hit delete. It's going to say, do you want to just delete the conversation or do you want to delete and report junk? I'm just going to hit delete. Okay. And so that's a couple things that you can do in order to not have your information out there, right? So we all get those random text messages, and just be aware of that. Okay. Here's
Eric,
another. Oh, yeah, yes, go ahead.
I'm glad you showed that survey one because I have I get surveys and I think it was just this week I was thinking, I
Hmm.
think I want to get out of answering surveys.
Yep. Unless
And
you
I
know
am
exactly
getting
who's sending it to you.
exactly. So
Hmm.
I'm gonna stop doing them because you never know that story about he thought he was talking to Chase Fraud.
Right. Right.
That's
You have no
real.
idea who you're talking to. I could go on Google Voice right now and I could say, hey, Google, I want a phone number from Texas. And it'll assign me a phone number, and I can make calls from that phone number. I can receive calls from that phone number. And I can also send text messages from that phone number.
Oh,
So you can essentially be anywhere in the world. So someone could be in, for instance, like they could be in China, and they could get on Google, get a phone number, and they could start communicating with you from on the other side of the world. And you think you're texting someone in 206 or 253. Not necessarily. So I just want y'all to just be aware of these things, right? So again, if you just don't know them, just don't text them back. Just delete it. Especially if it's like a spam, if you feel like they're trying to get your information, then you can do what I showed you how to do, where you just delete and report as junk, and that's going to help the tech companies and your carrier to stop them from reaching out to other people. So we also talked about here, you can always call the phone number on the back of your credit card or your debit card. So if you ever are weary about a call that you receive from the bank, you can call the number on the back of your card, or you can call the number that's on your bank statement to reach the bank. Those should be good numbers if you're calling them. Again, spoofers can only make it look like they're calling from that number. If you actually call the number, it's not going to ring the bad actors. It's always going to ring the person that truly owns that phone number. Another tip here, it says never give your two-factor authentication code to someone over the phone. So as you guys know, when you log into maybe a bank account or some type of account where sometimes maybe it'll say, hey, we need to verify that it is you, and you have your phone number attached to that account, and it'll say, hey, we're going to send you a text message with the code. Put that code in online, and then it knows that you're like the authentic person that's trying to log into the account. That's a really good tip. Make sure that you don't give that code to anyone, even if, like, let's say it's Chase Bank. You never give that code to anyone. Okay, even if you think you're talking to the bank, do not give them that code. If they're asking for that code, they're not from the bank and they're a scammer. Okay. So that code is only used by you to access your account. If someone's asking for it, don't give it to them. So you see here, there's an example on the right where I logged into one of my investment accounts the other day. And because I was logging in from a new IP address and a location, right? Because companies know, like, okay, yeah, you're at your house, logging in from there. You normally log in from there, no problem. But if you are traveling, for instance, and you live in Washington and you try to sign into your bank account from Virginia, it's normally going to trigger something and say, hey, it looks like you're in a different location. We're going to send you a text message with the code just to verify it really is you, because you're signing in from a location we've never seen you sign in from. Okay, so that's a good thing that they use that data to keep your account secure. Okay, but again, never give away that code. Okay, as you can see here, it says our representatives will never ask you for it. Only enter it online, and then there's the code. And of course, that code is only good for normally about 10 to 15 minutes. Another tip is to slow down. Oftentimes, bad actors and people that want to try and steal your information or your money, they're always going to try to isolate you. They're always going to try to make it urgent, and they're always going to try to, get money normally sent in some way where it's not retrievable. Uh, Things like Zelle or even possibly cash, right? You guys have probably seen, if you've ever bought things through apps like OfferUp or Facebook Marketplace, you've probably seen things on there that are too good to be true, right? It's Christmas time. Your kid wants that new Xbox, but it's $400 retail. So you go on OfferUp and say, "Oh, there's one on here for 150, and it's brand new and it's in the box. This is great." But the person's not here in the Tacoma or the Seattle area. They're in Oregon. So they said, oh, go ahead and send them the money. Once they've received the money, the $150 for that Xbox, then they'll send it. Well, as you know, you send that money, you're never going to see that Xbox, right? They probably sold that Xbox to 10 or 15 people. So if you see things online and it looks too good to be true, that's normally 99.9% of the time, that's normally because it is too good to be true. And so I would encourage you again to just slow down and use your common sense. If you think something looks odd, maybe talk to another person and ask them their opinion. But again, there's so many things, especially in like OfferUp and Facebook Marketplace, those secondary markets where people just post stuff that they don't even have in inventory. They just post it for a price that's too good to be true, hoping that somebody's going to buy it without seeing the product actually. Was someone going to say something? So that's where I would say just slow down in that case, right? Check with someone else. If someone calls you on the phone and they need money, again, just slow down, verify it's actually the person that you think you're talking to. Right here, the next one here is don't make Zelle transfers to people you don't know. This is a big problem in the last handful of years. Zelle, Cash App, Venmo, all of those have become very popular ways to transfer money. But one thing you can do to prevent being defrauded from Zelle and Venmo and Cash App is just make sure you know who you're sending the money to. One way you can do that, if you're ever sending money to someone, let's say there's someone you meet and they say, you want to donate money to their cause and they use Zelle. That's fine. Get their email address or phone number for their Zelle account, and then send them $1 and make sure that they are the person that received it before you send the $1,000, right? What I see a lot of times people do wrong is they're sending money to someone for the first time and they send the whole $1,000 the first time and then end up coming to find out, oh, I had one digit in your phone number wrong, or I had an email wrong, and it goes to the wrong person. And those are extremely hard to retrieve once you've sent those. Normally your bank, if you're trying to send a Zelle, it asks a lot of questions and you actually have to check a box acknowledging that you have reviewed all those things before you can send the money. Because guess what? If you send it, they're not going to reimburse you if you send it to the wrong person. I see a hand. Go ahead, Pastor Zippy.
I'm just wondering, are you supposed to be sharing something on the
Uh,
screen?
yeah, I
Yeah,
am
it's not been
sharing.
there for a while.
Yes,
Thank
yes,
you.
yes. There you go. Sorry. I forgot. I was over here sharing my phone. Yes. So yes, don't transfer to people you don't know, and then start your Zells with a $1 to confirm. Thank you for letting me know that, by the way. All right. Let's go ahead to the next slide. So let's talk about what is phishing. So phishing is a form of social engineering where attackers deceive people into revealing their sensitive information. Sometimes if they're phishing, they might ask you to click a link or install software on your computer. You always want to be very careful about installing software on your computer, especially if you do not know the source of that software. So if somebody sends you a link and says, "Hey, download this cool software, it's going to do all this," software can actually do things to your computer, collect information, and send it to people you don't want to have your information. And it does it all in the background. You'll never know. So you got to be very careful about installing software. You should only be installing software from legitimate sources, right? Like Microsoft or HP if you're installing a printer, people that you know and trust. If you ever have any questions, definitely just double check what you're installing. And then it says here, phishing attacks have become increasingly sophisticated, often transparently mirror the site being targeted, right? So we'll actually take a look at that in a second, and we'll go through a bunch of examples of that today. Here's a text message that I received on July 27th of 2022. So I received this message on my iPhone. I do bank with Bank of America, by the way. So initially, at a quick glance, it looks like it's possibly from Bank of America, right? It says BOA online. BOA is short for Bank of America. And it says you requested a change of credentials. Well, the first problem here is I did not request a change of credentials. And when it says credentials, that means you either are looking to change your username or you're looking to change your password on a particular website. So e-commerce companies call that your credentials. So it looks like somebody tried to log into my account and changed my username or my password, and they sent me a text to verify that it was me. But there's something wrong here. It says, if this wasn't you, please visit https yourbofaonline.org. Well, so this is something where it comes in to be knowledgeable about different types of organizations, a .com, for instance, versus a .org versus a .edu. And going back to some of the classes we've had, what is a .edu for? If this said .edu, what would that indicate this type of organization is? If we see a .edu, it'd be an educational institution, right? Maybe a high school, a college, something like that. I would expect Bank of America would be a .com. A .com is a commercial organization, so it's a for-profit company normally, like a Bank of America. But in this case, they're asking me to click a link that says yourbofaonline.org. That's not right. Right. So I did not click on this link. You can actually see I did reply. And I said, wrong answer, bro. And then I deleted the message and reported it as junk. Sorry, y'all. I know I like to play with them a little bit. I do play with them a little bit because I already know what it is. And so, yeah, you're going to get these messages, guys. There's really no way to not get them because a lot of our phone numbers are out there. The best thing you can do is just delete and report as junk as quick as possible. Okay, how bad is the problem? So this information is from IC3, the Internet Crimes folks at the FBI. They put together statistics and stuff about, online scams, and they track all the numbers and what's reported to them. And here you can see that at the bottom, phishing is obviously the biggest problem. Just visually, you can look and see that like the numbers are off the charts for phishing, which is again where people try to steal your information by pretending to be someone that you trust. And you can see that it really took off. That bottom bar of phishing is 2019. The one that says 241,342 complaints. That's how many phishing complaints the IC3, also known as the FBI, That's how many phishing complaints they received in 2019. But look at 2020, 323,000. Anybody remember, did something special happen in 2020? The 2020, 2021, did something happen in all of our lives? COVID, right? What happened during COVID? Everything was forced to go online, right? So things that did not want to be online. I remember the job that I was in at the time. We didn't have work from home days. We were always in the office, right? And most companies did not embrace work from home during that time. But during COVID, everyone got sent home and told, "Hey, get online and work from home." And everybody started shopping online, right? Amazon took off, and a lot of these e-commerce platforms took off. Well, the fraud online also took off during that same time because everyone was at home and the computer scammers they got busy. They got busy taking advantage of people who were not used to being online. So that's why you see this spike in phishing attacks in 2020 and 2021. But it continues today. They're still receiving around 300,000 complaints a year for phishing. Obviously, it's way more than that because every single one of us, I'm sure on this call, received a phishing text or email last year, and I'm pretty sure none of us reported it to the FBI. Would that be correct? Did anybody report the phishing attacks and the random text messages you got this year?
No.
Exactly. Exactly. But if you ever get one that you feel is really sophisticated and it's worth reporting, you definitely should. And because they will look into that potentially. They're not going to obviously be able to action all of them, but they will definitely receive that information. And, you know, if they receive that information from multiple people, then maybe they'll dig into it. All right. So let's see. Risk signals for phishing again. It's always going to be urgent. Oftentimes they will have a website that looks to be legitimate, but it's not. So we're going to actually take a look at that right now. And oftentimes they will try to make it look like an email from someone that you may be familiar with. So let's take a look at a couple of examples. So a spoofed website. So at a quick glance, what does this website look like? It was the old school version of it, but what does this website look like? You see it in the top left. You see the logo, right? What does it look like?
Amazon.
Amazon, right? Uh, but if you look at the web address, and again, we've talked about this in some of the previous classes, the web address is the unique address. So every web page on the internet has a unique address, the same way you have a unique address at your home or your place of work or your residence. So here it's amazonx.com. So in this case, someone created a website, amazonx.com, and then what they do is they will send you a link to this website and try to get you to sign in using your real Amazon credentials, your username and password. But as soon as you put in your username and password in this fake website that looks like Amazon, guess what they're going to do with your username and password that you just gave them? They're going to go to amazon.com and log in as you, because now they have your information. Now, this is where it's important to have two-factor authentication. Hopefully you do. They won't be able to get into your account, but some people don't, and they can now access that person's account on Amazon. If you have credit cards or debit cards saved into your account, then they could potentially place orders for expensive things using your saved credit cards. Okay. And so that's why, again, it's important to make sure you always have two-factor authentication, especially on websites where you have saved your credit card information. It makes it easy to check out, of course, when you have a saved credit card, right? I know we have saved credit cards in our Amazon account. So when I go in, I just click a button and say, I want it to go on this card. I want it to go to this address. You check out and it's smooth. But again, we have two-factor authentication. Even if someone received our username and password for our Amazon account, if it saw them logging in from a new device or a new IP address that's not one that had previously been associated with my account, then it's going to do two-factor authentication and text myself or Erica. And if we don't validate, of course, then they won't be able to get into our account. So this is a very common scheme that they will copy a website that looks familiar to us and try to get us to log in using our credentials, but they're really stealing our credentials. Here is an email. This is a good example here where you can see that it's from Trusted Bank. But the only thing I see wrong here, and it's asking you to click a link to verify some personal information here. The problem here with this one is it's not a secure website. You never want to put your personal information into a website that's not secure. So it's where it says HTTP, if there's not an S after that P, HTTPS means it's a secure website. So this website, just by looking at the web address, I'm already thinking to myself, there's no way I'm clicking on that link and putting my personal information there, because an unsecure website means that traffic going to that website could be monitored by someone. So you have an unsecure link. Okay, so just be careful anytime you don't see a S. Most websites these days, especially websites where you are using your debit or credit card online to buy things, they should have a HTTPS website. Here's a couple of examples of some emails that I have received in the past, and they're always funny, right? It always says things like, "Congratulations, Zeta." I don't know who that is, but it's saying
Eric,
congrats.
excuse me.
Yes, yes.
I hadn't noticed that I should be paying attention to HTTPS. I thought that was no longer relevant. And you're
No,
telling me I need,
no, it's very relevant, but again, like 90%, I don't know what the percentage is, probably 95, 99% of legitimate websites, especially ones where you're going to be putting your card information, they should be HTTPS. So if I say it's not relevant, that's because most legitimate websites are HTTPS.
okay,
Okay. So if you're at a real website, it's going to be HTTPS. If it's not
okay,
HTTPS, then I would stay away from it, just period.
okay,
Mhm. Yep. Um,
okay.
Here we see some emails, and again, going back to talking about the phishing discussion, they normally will try to get your information by saying, "Hey, congrats, Zeta." That's not my name, by the way. iPhone 14 Pro. Click this link to receive your free i14 Pro, and then you click a link, and then it takes you somewhere where it wants all your information. Give us your bank account, because you only have to pay the taxes on the new iPhone that you just won, but we need to have you pay the taxes. So click this link, enter your bank account information. We're just going to take out $2.50 for taxes. Well, no, they're going to take out way more than $2.50 because you just gave them your banking information. Luckily, most of the time, Gmail is what I have. It will flag things as spam. It knows it's spam because Gmail sees that this email address here is emailing thousands of people at once. So normally they do a pretty good job of flagging things as spam. Here you see a Kohl's shipment, right? So we all familiar with the organization Kohl's. It's a clothing retailer, department store, has a confirmation ID. But why would Kohl's be emailing me from my iCloud.com account? That's one of the dead giveaways oftentimes is these bad actors will use free email accounts, right? So iCloud, Gmail, Yahoo, Outlook, they'll try to use a free email account to set up and scam people. A couple more here. Again, Kohl's info, Verizon info, same thing, right? From random websites and things like that. Anytime you see garbled stuff like that, just delete it. Here's another one here where it says your package delivery notification is ready. Now, first of all, it's Christmas time, so I received this email on December 18th of 2022, and it says your package is pending. You have one message from us. Obviously, it looks like it's coming from FedEx. It says that the package is ready, and it says use your code to track and receive it or schedule it. So it says schedule delivery now, and it wants me to click that button to schedule a delivery at my house. So behind that link is probably going to ask for my address. It's going to ask for my name. It may even ask for some credit card information to pay for the shipment if it's not already paid for. Again, all just tricks to like, oh, I got a package coming. I'm excited. Let me put in my information. But again, if you're not expecting a package, there's no package coming. And by the way, look at who the email came from. It says the name on the account is FedEx, but the actual email address is admin at america-groups.xyz. that has nothing to do with FedEx, right? Of course, if you're getting something from FedEx, it should come from FedEx.com or someone at FedEx.com. Okay. Oh yeah, oh yeah. They'll make it look really legit. Oh, you got a package coming, and
But
then you get excited, click
but
the
they
link.
usually say that we are returning your package. It is here. It has stayed. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
what I
Yep.
think how uh, they need my address where they are taking it. How did they get my name? How did they know that it's me?
Again, because oftentimes our information is just out there. Like it's been stolen. Like
Okay,
if you're at a bank or we're all online these days,
okay.
and a lot of these companies have been hacked and our information has been stolen. So they don't have all of it, but they might have your name and your address. They might have your name,
Mm,
email, and address. So they use whatever pieces of data they have to form an email
okay.
like this, and in this case, they didn't even say my name, right? They didn't say
Yeah,
Eric.
yeah.
All they had my email address and they just shot me this email. But they sent this email to thousands of people, hoping that, and
Okay.
then they create a fake website that looks like FedEx. So they want you to click on that schedule delivery now, and they want you to give your information to them on the fake website. So again, that's where it becomes important to be able to look at that website address and see if it's a real address, is it a fake one? If it's not FedEx.com, I'm not putting my information in there.
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
Yes, I received something like same thing you're talking about the FedEx, and it
Hmm.
was from USPS package. In
Oh yeah.
fact, it was today, and they said your whatever has arrived at warehouse and could not be picked up, invalid zip code, blah blah blah. And so my question is, at the link where they are saying to address it or to press, it's HTTPS, and you just say to keep an eye on the S, but at the end it says HTTPS USPS. It actually looks very real, like it's from the USPS. And I had this problem 6 months ago. They had done the same text, but at that time I went on March of this year. I went to my post office and I showed them this, and they said, "No, that's not gonna be us. We don't do that."
Exactly.
So they told me never to. So when I saw it today, I kind of remembered what they told me. I just reported and junk it. Is so
Exactly.
this is what you're talking about. You are FedEx,
Exactly.
it could be
Yes.
USPS. Okay.
Yes. Yes, this is a very common scheme, especially going into the holidays, because there's going to be a lot of packages coming and going, and they know that. And so
Mm,
they're going to try and get you to click on this link by saying, "Hey, you got a package, it's
okay.
stuck. We need you to click this link and, pay
Okay.
for the delivery because it's
Yeah.
low." Right. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
all a big scam. Yep.
Yeah. That was that. Your message came at the right time because today they just sent me this. So I'm kind of like, oh, thank God I tuned in today, and
Great.
I haven't, I wasn't sure, but I knew this gotta be something happened on March.
Nope.
So just ignore it and just,
You're on it.
junk
Exactly. Just ignore it, report it as junk,
it.
and
Okay.
move on with your day. Yep.
Thank you.
And
Perfect.
I
Thank
have
you,
a
Eric,
So,
question.
because go ahead.
I'm asking, what about the calls
from who? Like random
from
phone
people?
calls?
Just different, yeah, just calls all the time. And then
I
they are
Yeah.
feel like
not
sometimes you just
speaking.
have to
They are
ignore them.
waiting for you. They are waiting for you to speak. Somebody calls, they call with different
Yes.
numbers, but they are
Yes.
the ones waiting for you to talk.
Yes.
They are
Yes.
just, when you're not talking, they don't talk and then they cut the phone.
Yes, exactly. So I get those calls a lot too. Normally I don't pick them up, but
Yeah.
every now and again I pick up, and because maybe I am expecting a call from someone who maybe isn't in my phone, so I'll pick up and you say hello. If if they don't respond and say hello within about
You
a
just hang
second,
up.
that's not normal, and I hang up because I can tell you what's happening. That's a person sitting behind a computer, or probably multiple computers, and those computers are just auto dialing phone numbers. They're just auto
Okay,
dialing phone numbers, boom, boom,
Mm.
boom. And so that person is monitoring probably 10 different phone calls that are happening at that time.
okay,
And so when you say hello, they have to
mm,
mute the other nine so they can unmute yours and
okay,
start to talk to you. But that takes a second,
Mm.
right? And so that's why there's that pause there for 2 to 3 seconds. But at that point, just hang up because it's a spam call. they have a robot that's just calling phone numbers randomly, hoping you pick up, but it takes them a second to reply. And so I just normally hang up because if they don't say, like, if I pick up the phone and say hi, you say hi, right? There shouldn't be a 5 second pause. That's an
Yeah.
indicator to me that it's fraud, and I just hang up. Yep. And
Yeah.
those and by the way, those people are trained to keep you on the phone. Oh, hi, how are you doing today? How was your day? Great. Could I interest you in a free vacation? When was the last time you went on a vacation? You need a vacation, don't you? Well, I have a special deal for you today, right? And they ask you questions because they've been trained that the more questions they ask and get you to reply to, the more likely they're going to be able to sell you something. So, when was the last time you went on a vacation? Do you like Hawaii or do you like Florida? Oh, you like Florida. That's a good choice. Yeah, Florida's beautiful, right? Just don't even entertain them. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Let's
that's
keep
the
going.
bottom line. Don't
Oh
listen
yeah,
to them.
exactly.
I'm
Here's
really
another
glad they're
one.
doing it.
Yeah.
Here's another one, right? Surprise, you've won an iPhone 14. These are always the same thing. Click here to confirm, put your credit card in because you have to pay for shipping. You want a phone, but you just have to pay for shipping, which is $9.99. They're just trying to steal your card information, okay? So don't worry about those. Okay, I won't go through this example just in the interest of time. Let's look at a couple of examples of good websites versus bad websites. Let's start here with the one that says chase.con. What do you guys think about that one? Chase.con. Does that look like a good website?
Yeah.
Con, C-O-N.
No,
No,
no.
no,
No,
no, no,
it's
no.
chase.con,
Oh.
right? So they'll do little things like that.
Oh,
Chase.con. We don't want that. How
yeah.
about this one that says missionafrica.us?
No.
No, no.
Right, because they replace the I with a one. That's a very common scheme that they'll do. They will replace letters and numbers that look similar to get you to just kind of browse over it and not see it. Okay, so that's a big one right there. Mission Africa, notification delivery, Amazon18.com. No,
Nope.
I don't know who that is. This missionafrica.us. This is us. That one's good. How about this one right here? The second one, and
No.
No.
Amazon.com.
No.
No.
Mm-mm.
Wrong. Wrong.
Nope.
Oh,
Yep. How about Netflix.com right here?
Wrong.
no.
Yeah, it's got too many T's and too many X's, right?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Next. Yeah.
They'll do that. They'll do that. Let's see. becuorg.com.
No.
Right, right. So again, you would have to know this one, but BECU, thank you, Ellie, for pointing it out in the class on Tuesday. BECU's website is becu.org. It's not becuorg.com, right?
.com.
So just again, just paying attention to those small things. Let's go ahead to the next slide here. So if you are a victim of phishing, what do you do, right? So if you, for whatever reason, it's a really good scheme, you get caught up, you provide your information, what's some of the next steps that you can do? So the first thing you want to do is you want to actually report it to the FBI's Internet Crimes Complaint Center. The reason for that is they can take that information, and if they got you, they probably got other people also. And so let me share that website here really quick. Here it is. And I'll also put it in the chat. So this is the IC3, which stands for the Internet Crimes Complaint Center. So this is run by the FBI, and they monitor all kinds of internet crimes. And so if you ever fall victim to any type of internet crime or sort of WhatsApp or banking or anything, you can come here and hit file a complaint and enter as much information as you possibly can, especially if you have things like email addresses or phone numbers, or if there was like a routing number or a bank account number they asked you to send the money to. All of that is extremely important. And the more detail you have, the faster they'll be able to act on it. I do want to let you know, you probably won't hear if they act on it though. So if you file a complaint, and they get hundreds of thousands and millions of these complaints a year, they're probably not going to reply to you, but they are going to take that information. And if there's enough there, and they're able to take action on it, then sometimes they will be able to recover funds. But again, you want to file that complaint in a timely manner. All right.
So Eric, do you
Uh-huh.
can somebody report from outside the USA? It just has to be the USA.
So this is specifically for, so if you're in the US, then you can report it to the FBI.
Okay.
Yeah, like if you think it happened, like somebody, scammed you from Africa or from Europe or Russia, it doesn't matter. If you got scammed and you are here in the United States, then go ahead and report it.
Okay.
So that was IC. That was
IC3.gov.
Oh, good. Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yep, IC3 Internet Crimes Complaint Center, and they maintain all the stats, and they're very, very good. They have hundreds, if not thousands, of people behind that address and that website to work and be able to track down and recover funds if and when possible. Another thing you can do, obviously, if you find that your bank account has been compromised or something, you can always change your credentials, right? So if you ever get an alert that someone tried to log into your account and you're getting that two-factor authentication and you weren't the one that tried to log into your account, you should immediately change your password. One of the things I see a lot is we're all guilty of this, including myself, is we all use the same username and password on multiple websites. So
Yeah.
if someone gets a hold of our banking username and login, guess what?
Yeah.
They're going to be like, oh, maybe they have a copy of your credit report. Now they're going to go try and use that same username and login on every website that they think is related to you. And they're probably going to be successful because we all are guilty of getting a little bit lazy and using the same username and login, right? And password. And that's just that one's tough to get around. I try to change my passwords often, and I have a spreadsheet that's password protected where I keep those things. But that's a tough one. And then obviously you want to monitor your personal financial accounts on a regular basis for things such as missing deposits, maybe fraudulent charges. A lot of bad actors these days have gotten very sophisticated, and they don't even make big charges on your credit cards anymore. They'll do subscriptions for $10.99 and hope that you miss it. They'll buy something online at Amazon because maybe you shop at Amazon regularly, so you're used to seeing Amazon charges on your bank account. So they have your card information and they'll place an order for $32 and then it just says Amazon on your bank account, so you don't notice it. Right. So little things like that. So I would encourage you just review your bank statements every now and again, just to make sure everything is what you expect it to be. Okay. That is that. I want to share one more thing with you guys, and then we'll wrap up. It's 6:55. Let me go here, and I'm going to share my phone one more time. Just 1 second. All right, there we go. So I want to go now to WhatsApp. For those of you who use WhatsApp, this looks very familiar, right? So I wanted to show you some things you can do here. So you see, I want to go down. So you see this group BTC Alpha Club 3? Why does that group have 999 plus members? I don't even know 1,000 people, okay? Why am I in a text message group with 999 people? So if I click on that, you can see that it says right at the top, it says you were added because one of your groups was added to the community. So first of all, I don't know who that is. So that one's a little bit weird to me. There's this one here where I got added to, and I don't know why. Excuse me. Let me see what else we got in here. This community is no longer available. There was another one that I was looking at just a little bit earlier. Was it this one? Let me go back. So you can see here, this one says, looks like someone added me to this. Yeah, you see there, see that warning at the bottom? And this is one of the things that's good on WhatsApp. It says you were added by someone who's not in your contacts. So someone that I don't know essentially added me to this group. And then you can control who can add you to groups by going to your privacy settings. So I just want to demonstrate that really quick because WhatsApp is great, but a lot of people will grab your phone number and just start adding you to random groups. And then they're going to try and get you to, like, invest with them or whatever. To avoid that, you can just go to privacy settings right here, and it says who can add me to a group. See, I'm on everyone. I just want it to be my contacts. So that way, only people that I know that are in my contact list can add me to groups now. So that'll prevent me from being added to these crazy groups later. I'm gonna go ahead and
You
exit this.
take my account and then so nobody can add you.
Exactly, unless they're in my contacts. So my contacts,
Or my contact. Sorry.
yeah. So only people that I have added as a contact now can
Mm-hmm.
actually add me to a community. So like if I go to here, new call. So these are all of my contacts. So
Yeah.
only these people can add me to a
Mm-hmm.
group. And you could even lock it down even further if you want to, where you could be like, you could say only certain people that I like, maybe you only want your spouse to be able to add you to a group or something like that. You can completely do that too.
So you
And
go to
that's all in
settings is
private.
when you get it.
So did you see, so at the bottom right, you see settings. And then you can go to privacy right here in the middle.
Okay.
And then it says groups. You see where it says groups. You see,
Mm-hmm.
I could go to my contacts except, and then maybe there's some people I don't want to be able to do it. That's fine, but I'm just going to leave it on my contacts. So that way you just don't get added to those groups. Okay. And there's a lot of things you can do in here. Last seen and online. If you don't want everyone to know when the last time was you were online, you could put nobody, because maybe it's none of their business when the last time you were online, right? So there's a lot of different options in here under privacy that it would be good to take a few minutes and kind of go through. Obviously, live location, you don't want to do that. You don't want WhatsApp tracking your location. No need for that, right? And read receipts. Sometimes you read something, you don't want it to notify the person that you read it because maybe you aren't ready to reply. You can turn off read receipts, right? I do that a lot.
Sorry, where did you go for that for the reading? Where did you go? I kind of didn't hear that.
So settings, and then privacy, right here, privacy.
Okay.
And then if you scroll up, you see where it says read receipts. So mine is turned on right now. So if someone sends me a message and I look at it, it's going to say like Eric read this message, right? But
Okay.
I should turn it off.
But if I turn it off, then it won't do that. I can look at a message and it won't notify them that I read their message.
Okay,
Yeah, because sometimes you don't
yeah,
want them to know you read it because you're not ready to reply yet.
Yeah. So they would know whether you read it or because
Right.
you can tell you whether somebody read your message when it's green or whatever blue color.
Right, exactly. And a lot of young people joke about that. Yeah, a lot of people, young people joke about that, like, "Oh, you
But
left
if
me on
you
red."
Oh, that was nice. I didn't know that. What about location?
Same thing. I don't really share my location.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll do it like one time sometimes if I'm trying to like find something that's close to me. But I don't generally share my location with like WhatsApp and some of these chatting apps. I'll share it with my bank because they're using it to verify that I am who I am. Because when I log into my bank, it say, "Hey, we want to use your location one time." Well, I'm at home. So it's going to use my location to see that I'm where I'm supposed to be. It's going to let me in my bank. But if someone's trying to log into my account from Florida where I'm not at, then it's going to say, "Uh-oh, there's a problem." And then it's going to start triggering some of those different security protocols to protect my account.
So on my location, it says you aren't sharing live location in any chat. I want to stay like that. That's okay?
Exactly.
That's what I want. Okay, got you. Thank you.